much for the opportunity to hear me speak today, and I want to thank all of my supporters. We have seniors here, we have lots of young people who turned out in support today. I just wanted to read a brief statement on Social Security and Medicare and the importance of protecting and preserving these programs and ensuring that they're here for future generations. We all know, when I talk to Republicans, when I speak to Democrats, Washington is broken and we are desperately in need of new leaders with the courage to put forth solutions to improve our country, not push our issues further down the road. This is especially true when protecting and preserving important programs for our seniors like Social Security and Medicare. I'm here today to reiterate my commitment to protecting these programs, not only for today's seniors, many of who are standing with me here, but for future generations, which is why we have our young people here today. As a member of Congress, I will fight for our seniors, and I will not make any changes, reductions, or cuts to those in or near retirement who have spent a lifetime paying into these programs. Social Security and Medicare are a promise that we've made to seniors, and it is a promise that the government should keep. I have said this time and time again on the campaign trail. So let me be clear, there will be no changes to Social Security and Medicare for our North Country seniors. I know how important these programs are to making ends meet for our families in the North Country. Last week, my Democrat opponent embarked on a press tour across the 21st District, repeatedly and knowingly misstating my positions on these important issues. It's unfortunate and it's flat out wrong. The reality is, Aaron Wolf is the only candidate who supports cuts to Medicare to pay for Obamacare. That's a key piece of the legislation that he says he supports, and he says those cuts are working. And unfortunately for voters, instead of offering his own ideas about how we can work together to make life better for future generations, Aaron Wolf is instead peddling political scare tactics and party talking points. This do-nothing approach to problem solving is the same tired way of politics we've seen year after year. And it may work in Manhattan, but there's no place for it in Northern New York. Voters deserve better, and our seniors deserve better. Our young people deserve better. So I'm here today with grandmothers and grandfathers, moms, dads, young adults, and kids who, like me, all believe that we need to address the serious problems already facing Social Security and Medicare. They understand that the do-nothing approach from Washington and President Obama is the same do-nothing approach offered by my Democrat opponent, Aaron Wolf, which will ultimately leave these programs in worse shape for themselves and for future generations. This week, our campaign is up with our first TV ad for the general election called Working Together, which underscores my commitment to work with anyone, regardless of party affiliation, to solve these policies, to fix the failed economic policies of the Obama administration, and put an end to the status quo we're all sick and tired of. I will work with anyone from any party, as I said, to solve these issues and ensure that these programs are saved for future generations. But I'm not going to stand aside and pass on discussing these issues just because they're difficult. Our campaign is based upon having the courage to put forth new ideas, fresh energy, and a new generation of leadership in Washington, built on working together to make our country a better place. That is the commitment that I've made to the men and women across this district, and that's the commitment I've made to the voters of the 21st District. So I'd love to take any questions from the reporters today. I'm willing to stand here to take questions that you have, so I'll start with you.
Do you have an age in mind for when this you said before, we've talked about how you don't want to raise the retirement age for those in or near retirement.
Right.
Do you have an age in mind for when those changes might go into effect, or how they would go into effect?
I think that issue, so we need to ensure that seniors that have paid into the programs, that those commitments are honored. So there will be no changes to anyone who's already retired. But the fact of the reality is, and Aaron Wolf's position means that a 65-year-old senior, by the time they get to 81, their benefits are going to start getting cut because Social Security and Medicare are on a path to insolvency. So I think there's an opportunity to have a discussion, whether that's under 50. I certainly think we need to reform these programs for people in my generation. I'm 30 years old. I'll have a longer lifespan and a longer working span. So I think we need to focus on ensuring those programs are around for later.
So, 30, I'm maybe 32. When we get to retire, what age can we expect to retire at?
I think there needs to be a gradual assessment, and I hope to work with economists from both sides of the aisle. I think both Democrats and Republicans have come out in support of a gradual increase. But we need to honestly solve these issues, and we need to make sure that they're reflective of the 21st century economy.
Elise, you're on record, correct me if I'm wrong, you're on record supporting a chain CPI, is that correct?
I think that's one of the options that we should consider. I think we need to ensure that our Social Security and Medicare benefits reflect the cost of living. And as we've seen the cost of living increase in the North Country, we need to make sure that our seniors are able to survive on those benefits. My opponent believes that people should be paying more for their food. That's not the reality in this district. People are working hard to make sure that they can make ends meet.
So you say
that's one of the ideas that I put forth for consideration to have a conversation.
A lot of people criticize that idea, saying it would cut what seniors are getting now, which kind of directly contrasts with what you're saying, no cuts to seniors now. Can you kind of touch on that?
Sure. So as I said, there would be no cuts to seniors in or near retirement. So any of those new ideas that I put forth, it's basically to start the conversation for future people like me, because the reality is the only candidate who actually supports cuts for our seniors today is Aaron Wolf, who supports raiding Medicare to pay for Obamacare.
So it's still, when you come to us presenting these ideas, it's still a work in progress. It's still things being discussed, and things that you still want to discuss without definitive answers.
Well, I think having the courage to put forth ideas for discussion is why I'm in this race, and I want to make sure that these programs are here for a future generation and for our young people today. Right now, Aaron Wolf's policies are going to bankrupt these programs for the young people and for my generation. We need to make sure and have a conversation about how to ensure that these programs are here. So that's why I'm opening it up for debate. And instead of my opponent, who is doing a tour of lies across the district, I'm actually putting forth solutions to strengthen these programs so that they exist.
So when they say the author of the bill and this sort of stuff about you and this, that's not necessarily how you view it?
Well, I've never worked in the U.S. Congress before, and I'm putting forth my ideas as a candidate and putting them out for discussion. And we've gotten a lot of positive response from seniors today who are concerned about their grandchildren. It's part of our American heritage to try to leave our country in a better place than what we inherited. And when I talk to grandmothers and grandfathers, they're worried that their kids won't have these important programs to rely on. I want to make sure they do. And having the courage to actually talk about these issues is how we can strengthen these programs and protect them.
So could you characterize what your involvement with that was? Was there no involvement in terms of when Aaron Wolf says offering the bill?
Which bill?
In the 2012 platform, the platform in 2012, privatizing Social Security. What was your exact role in that platform?
Sure, so I don't support privatizing Social Security. My role, I don't have a vote. The delegates vote on the platform, and they actually propose language and amendments to the platform. I was not a delegate, which they're elected by the states. There were 2 representing New York State. My role was to host listening sessions to make sure that everyone had an opportunity to share their opinions. And we had people from differing sides of a number of issues who were able to offer those positions.
So you did no writing or
No.
deciding, as it were,
No.
of that platform?
Any other questions from the reporters in the audience?
Can you comment on means testing a little bit? What are your thoughts on that? I would assume it's another one of those options you're looking at, kind of like that chain CPI, but can you kind of touch on that?
Sure. So this has been another idea that's been discussed from both sides of the aisle. I think as we put forth concepts like how we can address the cost of living increases for seniors, how we can make sure that the retirement days is reflective of the generation and the working lifespan. In terms of means testing, it's another way we can solve these issues to make sure that those who need these programs are able to rely upon them.
It may sound almost as if you're listing possibilities, but to kind of repeat Brian's question, you're not set on any of these at this point in time.
I'm set on no cuts, no reductions, no changes for our seniors today, but we need to make sure that seniors of tomorrow, and for example our 65-year-olds who will see their benefits cut at the age of 81, we need to make sure that they do not see those cuts. And the way that we do that is by having the courage to put forth how we can protect these programs and make sure that they help those who need them the most. So unlike my opponent, who hasn't put forth any solutions about how to ensure that these programs are around for our future generations, unlike my opponent, Aaron Wolf, who supports current cuts to Medicare to pay for our failed healthcare law, Obamacare, I don't support those cuts. I've been on record not supporting them.
And to be fair, Aaron has been on record on occasion saying also, I will protect this for our seniors. I mean, you're also saying that. Is there maybe more similarities in your two stances than
No,
maybe
because
seen?
his do-nothing approach will hurt these programs for future generations. This is a generational issue. It's something that you're a millennial, Chris. Actually, we're around the same age. Those programs will not be there for us unless we ensure and strengthen them. And that's what I'm committed to. And that's why I'm running in this campaign, is to put forth ideas about how we can ensure that those programs are there for those who need it, and not only for our seniors today, but our seniors tomorrow and our young people when they need these programs. Any other questions from reporters?
Do you think the campaigns have gotten a little bit more aggressive lately? It seems like Aaron Wolf has kind of gone on this barnstorming tour, and now you're doing this. I mean, what can we expect to see kind of heading through this Labor Day weekend and going into the fall?
I think it's a great question, Dan. As I said in my statement, Aaron Wolf embarked on a tour of the district misrepresenting my positions and knowingly do so. We're putting forth ideas like we did in Watertown the other times. In fact, we're continuing to talk about the importance of issues, whether it's protecting and preserving these programs, whether it's pursuing common sense healthcare reform, whether it's protecting and strengthening Fort Drum. And I hope to continue the discussion on the issues as we head towards the fall. The reality is Aaron Wolf is another vote for President Obama's failed economic policies. And we need a new direction in this country. That's something that Democrats and Republicans and independents agree on. Brian, any other questions?
It's kind of, I feel like a softball question, but what makes you the person that can, I guess, what makes you the person that can go in and make a difference? You'll be new. What makes you have that voice that people who have been there for 20, 30 years are going to listen and hear what you have to say?
I think it's a generational approach. As we see the people in Congress who have been there for 20, 30, 40 years, we need to ensure that the programs are there for people in my age group and for our young people. So I hope to bring a generational perspective to the halls of Congress. That's part of the reason why I'm running. And frankly, I think that's part of the reason why we've gotten so much support, not just from young people, but the seniors who I said care about the future of this country for their grandkids.
Take another shot at this. Can you give me one number, one age, where we'll say there will be no change to your Social Security benefits?
There will be no changes for those 50 and up, and I think we need to have a conversation for people in their 30s, and I hope to talk to economists about what makes sense to ensure that we strengthen these programs. Any other questions from the reporters? Thanks, guys. Thank you, and thanks to the supporters for coming here today. I really appreciate it.